Mark. How are you?
Good, Nihar. How you doing? Good to see you.
Doing well, yeah. So I know we know each other, but would you mind introducing yourself for the audience?
Yeah, sure. So Marc Seewald, I'm in Vice President in Product Management, specifically in the EPM group. Here at Oracle, my area of responsibility is in the planning domain, and I'm responsible also for some other areas like profitability and cost management and tax. And yeah, we're a part of the team that brings the software to our customers and to our partner community as well.
Great, yeah. So, you know, there's the buzz is obviously AI here. How is that changing the platform for you and the products that you manage?
AI is, I know there's a lot of buzz right now about AI, but AI, quite frankly, is not necessarily new to us. We've been working on AI for a lot of years, as you know. We released our first AI feature back in 2016, so this is going on almost 10 years now. But obviously, I'd say the pace of what's happening around AI is truly amazing. We're going beyond just traditional predictive AI, things like predictions and insights, into generative AI and now agentic AI, and we've made some wonderful announcements about that. So it's an exciting time right now for all of us.
So I know Hyperion and Oracle Cloud EPM have been around for several, maybe almost a few decades now.
Yep.
And a lot of customers that we talk to, they either have an on-premise version or another product that they use for a planning process. But a lot of customers are still on Excel.
Right.
So, you know, does a customer need to have Oracle Cloud EPM to start using some of these AI tools, or can they come off of Excel and start using, what's the right entry point for something like this?
Yeah, we've taken a lot of time on our team, our broader team, as well as in my team on the planning side, really trying to architect the solution in a way that you don't have to be a data scientist, you don't have to be an expert in AI. You just need to know what you need from a finance perspective. So we've built in implementation wizards and administrative wizards that make it very easy for those customers to get up and just starting having success. You know, we also encourage people to don't jump right into the deep end. You know, you want to kind of walk before you run kind of concept. But getting up with a nice little proof of concept, turning on a prediction on maybe expenses or revenue, or setting up some insights is a great place to start. And now with our generative features as well, so you can really kind of get started where you want to.
You know, AI for finance versus ChatGPT or some of the generative AI text-based tools or LLM tools that we see are quite a different mindset of how we are analyzing the data.
Yep.
What are some of the features that are available in EPM? Is it more on the deterministic numeric side of AI or the text side?
The AI features, I mean, we provide the whole gamut. Our earliest features that have started coming in 2016, we're more on the predictive side of the house, traditional AI, machine learning kind of things. So that is predictive planning. That's the ability to use historical data as well as some forward-looking signals to generate a prediction. Generally, that's used primarily in FP&A around forecasting. Doesn't have to be FP&A, by the way. You can use that in other operational style planning. It could be in sales teams or IT organizations or marketing. Wherever you need to generate a forecast, predictions sometimes apply. And then we have insights. Insights is our AI-assisted data analysis, is one way to talk about it. You can also think about it as a pattern detection engine built for finance. So for those finance folks that do a lot of analysis on their numbers, they're looking for very specific patterns. They're looking for things like variances. They're looking for things like trends, anomalies, and all of that can be automated through algorithms. And that's precisely what Insight does. So that's a great kind of on the predictive and traditional side of AI. And now in the last year, we started getting into generative AI. So back in November of 2024, we released our first generative capability into the narrative reporting. So that's the ability to create draft narrative on management reports or financial reports. A good way to speed up that analysis process so you don't have to write your own narrative. We've also introduced generative AI into our insights engine. So that's a good mixture of now traditional insights work, traditional AI and generative AI working together. We actually generate explanations and do summarization in insights with the Gen AI. And then excitingly, most recently, we released an agent, our first AI agent into profitability and cost management. And that has now done a lot of kind of automation around the modeling in particular in allocations. So helping you build a model or helping you make changes to the model. And we're starting to also get into kind of end user analysis through kind of automating trace through more of a conversational style experience.
Sometimes talk to customers about AI. There's a lot of interest in it, but there's of course some folks that say, well, is this going to, replace my job? Is this going to, make me kind of irrelevant? Or, is the data going to be accurate? Because we've all used generative AI tools and they're still probabilistic in nature. So how do you, I guess, assuage that fear, or is that a real fear?
I don't think we're at a stage yet. Maybe we will be in the future at some point, but I don't think we're at a stage yet where you can beat the brilliance of the human mind. There's things that the human mind can observe that AI is not ready to tackle. So, but when you can pair together the brilliance of the human mind with the capability of AI, you can really accomplish some pretty special things. So I think users across finance and beyond should really be embracing this. I think that if it's not going to take your job, it's going to give you your next job opportunity, quite frankly. So, yeah, that's the angle on that. And then we put a lot of effort into this problem. Yeah, I know a lot of folks are a little bit intimidated by the AI, and maybe they think that they can't trust it. But that's what our job is in product development, is to make sure that we're using the AI for what it's good at, and then we're using our own kind of more deterministic type capability to take care of things like numbers, right? So we can use an LLM to generate some narrative, but when it comes to the numbers, we're always checking those numbers against using tools like calculators behind the scenes and validations and things like that. And that's all being built in underneath the covers, so users don't have to worry about that. Of course, it's an evolving space, so we're trying to make sure we don't evolve too fast. But yeah, we're doing a lot right now with AI to kind of address those concerns.
Okay. So is that level of, because sometimes I use ChatGPT almost on a daily basis, but until recently you couldn't really see how it was thinking, right? You would get a response from an input, but everything in between was kind of opaque.
Yeah, exactly.
So how do you guys ensure transparency in the way AI is generating a critical item like a P&L forecast?
Yeah, great question. Again, it's kind of the right AI tool for the right job, but when it comes to things like predictions, there are some really nice things you can do to present to the user to help them understand how that prediction was generated. So for example, we can show you in the historical data whether there was any kind of anomalies or any kind of spikes that may have had an impact on their future prediction. And then also for things like a multivariate prediction, where you're using a lot of variables to help improve the quality of the prediction, we have things like explainability, which is actually helps you to understand what are the most important drivers of a prediction. So just to give you an example of that, if I were to predict something like product volume, I might be driving that based off of my assumptions of marketing spend. Marketing spend has an impact on product volume. I might also have another variable for things like macroeconomic considerations like GDP or interest rates or inflation rates, things like that. Explainability tells you which of those variables were most influential. So that's a good example of the kind of thing that we can do, is not just show the user the result of a prediction, but actually in a very finance intuitive way, we can present it to explain how that prediction is being generated. Again, we don't want our users to be data scientists. You shouldn't have to be a data scientist to figure this out. There's a lot of things we can do on a product side to make that more apparent to them. And then on the generative AI, I think we're always trying to, first off, make it very clear where generative AI is being used. So if we're going to create a description or a narrative, we want to make it very clear that that's being created by a generative AI. And then we're also building a lot of auditability into this. Some of these features you won't see yet, and these are things coming out in the future. But the ability to understand that, hey, yes, the context that was used to generate this answer was the proper context. We took a look at the user's POV, or we took a look at the user's attributes, and we understood something, and this is how we understood it. So you can kind of always audit how that the AI understood your prompt or your request.
Okay, yeah, I'm sure that's comforting for many folks considering this. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, because there's always that proof that has to happen, right, in finance.
Exactly.
And having that automated sounds like a great benefit. Yeah.
Exactly, and I think that's really important up front in the first kind of time period as you start to use technology like that. But I think people will rapidly become comfortable with it, and you'll come comfortable with where the limits are and where the limits, where you can just always rely on it.
Yeah.
And of course, those limits will continue to evolve as we can continue to enhance with the technology. But I think it's pretty intuitive. You've played with ChatGPT. I'm sure others watching this have played with tools similar to that, and you kind of get that idea of like, oh yeah, I can do this with these tools, but I can't quite yet do that with these tools.
Sure.
So same kind of concept.
Yeah, we're not questioning the calculator anymore, are we?
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So what's coming up next? I mean, you talked about a lot of different things, predictions. We talked about generating text. The agents, I think, are really exciting, and that seems somewhat new.
Yeah.
What are some use cases for the agents?
Yeah, that was a big announcement here. So we announced a couple of new agents here at CloudWorld just yesterday during the strategy sessions. So a lot of exciting things. Two new agents were announced yesterday. Number one is the planning agent, which I'll talk more about, and then number two is the reconciliations. Again, I think you'll have one of my colleagues talk more about. But these are really, again, a good combination of using both kinds of AI, traditional AI, as well as generative AI and agentic AI. And they are conversational experiences and help you automate processes that today would be very manual. So in the context of planning, this is a conversational interaction with everything that you would want to do from a planning perspective. So that could be you're trying to understand root cause of an insight, for example. So you see a variance, the Insight Engine finds you a variance, you want to understand that root cause. And so the planning agent helps you dig down to the details of that, understand, is that driven by is it volume, is that driven by price, is that driven by FX, what's the driver, what's the root cause behind these kind of variances. And then also it does things like interacts across our tools that we have today. So it helps you take something like a piece of information that you might want to add to a management package, a management reporting package, like in narrative reporting, for example. And so you can just conversationally say, hey, tell me a little bit more about these numbers, and also create a visualization for this number, and it'll return you a nice little result. If you like that result, you can tell it to put it directly into that management package. Oh. And you saw that in the demo there yesterday if you attended that event. And then it also does things like help you doing what-if analysis. I think that's super powerful for particularly high-level scenario planning. In scenario planning, if you want to make a pretty big change to a P&L, let's say you want to change a couple different product lines, revenue expectations, and maybe you want to change some overhead and something in COGS. That would take a lot of mouse clicks to do that through the POV. But if you can just describe that in conversational language, that is a whole lot faster. And I think what's super exciting about that is that it's obviously cool, it's neat, great, but it's going to bring a whole new level of user into our products. Today, the most senior people in the organization sometimes aren't users of our products. Their teams are doing all the work in the product. But if we can kind of lower that threshold for being very proficient in EPM, then that's going to bring in those executives and people who might want to be running through kind of a very strategic level type scenarios. So we're excited about things like that. It does many more things that I won't bore you on, but that's all. It's a part of what we announced today or yesterday, I should say, on the planning agent.
The systems, these decision support systems that we've been building for decades now, really are designed to support those questions that executives are asking. And so I think what you're getting at is that now the executives will be able to directly ask the system rather than having to go through a middle layer of IT professionals and finance professionals and get a lot more direct access. That's
exactly, and we're really excited because it's it's all connected to the whole roadmap. It's we're expanding EPM Cloud to be dealing with a lot more data like relational and transactional data. So it's no longer just this kind of cube-based system. So it allows us to do root cause and do kind of analysis like that again, previously executives or more senior people wouldn't necessarily want to get into, but now because it's available to them conversationally, they can do that. And I think it's really special. It does differentiate a little bit from what you might see in like a data warehouse. Data warehouses a lot of times will have agents as well that do kind of some degree of data exploration. But what we're really doing that's differentiated is that we're using all that context that's in EPM. So for example, EPM has things like hierarchies and asymmetrical hierarchies, for example, which can be difficult for data warehouses to handle that kind of sophistication. We've got all your user security built into it, so that the agents already have that knowledge. It's not going to answer a question if you don't have user security access to it. So it's really, there's so much context in EPM systems, people don't always appreciate that. So just trying to take data out and put it someplace else and do the same thing, you're going to lose a little bit when you do that. So that's a big part of the value proposition of what we're offering.
So I know Oracle's a big company. There's many different products that they have. AI Agent Studio is another tool that's out there.
Definitely.
The Oracle Cloud Infrastructure has kind of their own AI offerings. How do you go about advising customers on, I know you've got your favorite, but from unbiased or from a customer perspective, how do they go about deciding which path to go down?
Yeah, I think EPM is going to be very well suited for certain use cases, right? But there's going to be use cases that we're not going to deliver out of the box, right? So there's going to be company specific, it could be industry specific, it could be geography specific. So these agents will be very powerful and they will be configurable, but if a customer has a requirement where what we've delivered isn't quite perfect for them, that's what's great about Oracle is we have these extensibility type solutions like OCI or like the AI Agent Studio that allow customers to kind of take it and run and just deliver whatever they can dream up. So what's powerful about that, and when you think about things like the AI Agent Studio, is they can bring their own LLM. So if they've got an in-house LLM and they want to build an agent that interacts with EPM and interacts with some sort of third-party system or interacts with their users through tools like Slack or Teams, you can build that kind of interaction. So I think the sky's the limit for customers. We're going to continue pushing the scope of what we can do within EPM. But when you have things like the AI Agent Studio or OCI to extend it, very exciting for the customer community, very exciting for the partner community. I think it's exciting for all of us because really the sky's the limit.
Yeah. So would it be fair to say that you can start with what's already pre-delivered and then build on top of that? Or
100%. Again, walk before you run kind of thing. There's so many great ways to get started with AI now. We started with one AI feature, and now we have so many different AI features across EPM. If you're in the financial consolidation and close, or if you're in TR's tax reporting cloud, or if you're in planning, there's AI features now everywhere. I do encourage people to kind of start small. Don't try to boil the ocean. Start with proof of concepts. Maybe start with a subset of your users. Don't roll something out broadly to all your users at once. Learn where that AI does something well. Learn where it doesn't quite do something well. Have success with a small group of users before you roll it out. But yeah, you can really start wherever you want, quite frankly.
I'm curious, back to kind of going to the planning topic in particular. I know that we've been talking about AI, but just even traditional planning cycles. We've had that typical annual budget process. Sometimes there's a quarterly reforecast or monthly reforecast. And we still talk to customers that haven't adopted a rolling forecast,
right,
which would give you that constant outlook on an ongoing basis. What are some of the new things coming out in planning that may or may not be AI related, but things that they can start doing right away, even if they don't want to necessarily go down the AI path?
And there's so much you can do. Whether it's something like a rolling forecast, or whether it's starting to use narrative reporting to help automate reporting more. There's so many features in our product that it just helps you. Another good example would be allocations. A lot of times people try to do allocations in spreadsheets, or maybe they build some calc scripts to try to do some complex allocations. And there's tools in EPM that our customers own a lot of times that would help them do that job much more effectively. So even before you get into AI, there's all kinds of things you can do to automate your process. And also I think there probably is a bit of a baseline of AI is great, but maybe you at least need to get a good planning process as a foundation before you start, turning on some of the AI features. So
we roll over, crawl, walk, then run.
Yeah, exactly. I'll say that one more time. I'll let you say it, so I don't have to say it, right?
Yeah, no, that's exciting. It does seem that the maturity curve, or I guess the ability to adopt, seems to be quicker now that it's all available in the suite. But those basic foundational things, I think, still are really important. And so, do you think that AI will change the way customers plan long term?
I do. I mean, there's an opportunity. It's going to be very specific to industry and company. So again, I can look far out, and I don't want to it could take a long time, it could take a very short amount of time. But I think we're providing the tools to make it much easier to plan at a much more granular level of detail, and then to also plan at a more frequent level. You think about what has confined people from going to more detail, or what's confined people to do more frequency. It's almost always effort, or the limits of the software, quite frankly. So AI changes that now. If you can make a forecast that's very easy to do from actuals, what's preventing you from going from a monthly to a weekly forecast? And quite frankly, we've already kind of proven that to a certain extent. Predictive cash forecasting was our first kind of foray into daily forecasting now. So predictive cash forecasting, for those who might not be familiar with it, is built for Treasury to do a kind of a rolling 13-week or rolling 6-month style forecast. And it's designed to work with daily transactional data. So now, instead of controllers and cash managers around the world updating cash forecasts manually once a month, now they get a daily view of what's happening with cash. So you see problems and opportunities faster. And again, automation helps with that, and AI helps with that. But and that same kind of opportunity could be there to FP&A if they see that valuable. Not every industry is going to need to do that, but it will be there for them to do that if they're interested. So yeah, I think you'll see a lot of changes like that. The art of the possible just is dramatically different now.
So finance is obviously important. The planning function there is critical for every organization, and that's where we see our customers start as well. Are there use cases for EPM outside of finance?
Ooh, perfect topic. I just got done with a session just moments ago, about an hour ago, on sales planning. So yes, the answer is absolutely yes. In fact, I think it's really connected to AI, quite frankly. It's been a trend over the last 10 years to see operational and financial planning to be connected. So what that means is obviously financial planning at a corporate level. Maybe you're looking at an income statement and a balance sheet or a cash flow. But all those operational assumptions and plans, sometimes still live in spreadsheets. You might have a supply chain folks, or you might have a sales team, operational sales teams, or you might have an IT organization that has all these kind of operational assumptions out in these various planning and forecasting tools or spreadsheets. And really, the whole business benefits when you can start to connect those operational assumptions and plans and forecasts and targets to your broader corporate financial planning. So connecting that is absolutely huge, and I'd also say that it's foundational for AI, because most of the time when you think about things like predictions of financial data is very typically driven by operational assumptions. Financial data tends to be that lagging indicator of where the business is going, and the operational data tends to be the leading indicator. There might be a problem in the business now, but you won't see it in the financial numbers until 6 months from now. So I think bringing financial and operational data together through EPM and allowing AI to work on that gives you insight into the business. It gives you agility for the business. In ways that you couldn't do if you don't have those connections across financial and operational planning. So
yeah.
Fundamentally important. The session I just did was on sales planning. So that was sales, big B2C or B2B type sales teams that are out selling. They do their style of sales forecasting that's different than finance, but it's still related at the end of the day. So any kind of synergy you can get from those helps a lot. So absolutely.
As you were talking, I was just thinking about our own sales process, because sometimes we can talk to customer for months or years before we actually get to a deal. Mm-hmm. And so when we do a revenue forecast, it's the leading indicator would really be the opportunities and leads that we have prior to that
That's
would
right.
generate a better forecast for us. Yeah,
that's right. Exactly. And some people think that, doesn't the forecast just come out of the CRM tool? That's an opportunity. Right? An opportunity is not a forecast, because you have to add that kind of judgmental layer on.
Sure.
The relationship with the people. That's going to be able to give you that idea of, is that an opportunity that's going to convert this quarter or next quarter or 3 quarters from now? So again, and then connecting those assumptions in with the broader financial planning, absolutely crucial.
So, AI's only been around a couple of years. I know Oracle's, made a lot of investments recently. How's the customer adoption been? I'm not trying to put you on the spot.
Yeah, no,
I'm just curious. Yeah.
Bring it on. So we started with our, I'll give you a long-winded answer here. So we started with our AI features back into 2016, as I mentioned. And yeah, I mean, the adoption was, was nice. It was always nice to see the early adopters, but they were kind of like the true innovators. And that, started growing over time. And, last year we were well into the hundreds. I'll tell you, in the last 12 months, it's been a hockey stick.
Really?
The level of adoption of AI is through the roof. We've seen across our customers, we have well over 1,600 customers now in production with at least one AI feature. One of those AI features I've described. Just huge, and we think that's a direct result of a lot of the investment we've made to make our AI very easy to adopt. You do not need to be a data scientist. You do not need to be an expert in AI. You just need to be a finance person, and that has really enabled our customers to take it and have success with it. I think a lot of that's driven by ChatGPT, quite frankly, or the Gen AI bursting onto the scene 3 years ago. I think people are starting to believe the art of the possible now.
Right.
They're believing that, hey, this AI is for real. We can do it. Let's give it a try. So yeah, absolute hockey stick right now, and it's and there's no stopping. I love refreshing my little dashboard, every week or so, and seeing the numbers change. So.
What do you think is one of the most interesting or cool customer stories? You don't have to mention their name if you don't want to, but somebody in an industry that was really using it in a unique way.
One of the things, I wouldn't necessarily call it a unique way, but it's a story that I like to talk about because I think it helps to illustrate the value of AI. There's a customer who's presented at an Oracle conference in the past. I won't mention their name, but they're a large Fortune 100 company, and they had rolled out our AI features a number of years ago. So predictions and insights, they'd rolled that out to their finance team. And they found that it was, of course, a huge win in most of their business units, right? So they had 5 major business units. So huge efficiency gains and really some nice expanded insight that they weren't getting previously, improved quality of forecast accuracy, things like that. But those benefits were primarily in 4 of the 5 business units. And the CFO explained actually that that actually made a lot of sense to him because that 5th business unit far and away was the most hands-on, high-touch part of the business. Very complex. So. But he described that it was a huge win for him because he could take resources off of the other 4 business units and have them focus on that more complex business unit. So huge win. And that's the idea. It's like we're not, spend less time doing kind of menial tasks and more time on those high touch areas of the business. Get out there talking with your business partners. Get out there, working through problems that you're facing in the business. That's precisely what FP&A and finance ultimately wants to do. And I think that's a good little anecdote that shows that power. So.
Yeah, no, I think that's really powerful when you can get out of, when you go to school and get an MBA or a CPA, and now you're an Excel ninja.
Yeah, exactly. So, that's not. You don't dream of being an Excel ninja, when you're a kid, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Well, Marc, thank you so much for coming out today, and I hope you're having a great time in AI world. This was a pleasure, and I look forward to doing it soon.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you for having me.
All right.